Hi guys, and welcome back to the fourth installment of Creatures of Aizere. Sorry that it took so long this time. I've been working on a bunch of different stuff. Today, the creature that we are starting with are the Twines. Bit of a wordplay on the word twins. These creatures were brought up in the circus, and so have been bred to be such. Some inspiration I took for these guys are the theatrical masks that are sadness and joy that you can commonly see. I also took, later when I finished the coloring, you can see that I also took the face paint that is on the original channel logo of Aizere wearing clown makeup and used it to make their faces. So what I was doing here is I was trying to distinguish between them, how one's more confident and joyous and fun, while the other's more shy and nervous. I was trying to figure out how to combine aspects when I thought of these little hair floofs here. I also decided that I wanted their color schemes to match. So as you can see, I'm really playing around with how I'm gonna have these two heads attached. I was trying to remember how I did it with the panda ones. I forget what they're called. It should be in my notebook, but I don't have it on me right now. So yeah. So you can see then I started playing with the body. I was trying to figure out how I was going to make it. I was making sure the shape was right, because it was very hard to get both of the heads attached to the one body this time for some reason. I felt like this leg was a bit too far back, so I was gonna grab it and move it. Did I? I think I grabbed and moved it. I recorded this a while ago. I was then playing with the tails a bit, so you can see I put two tails, one for each side, and that is a ginormous tail. Okay. I then started adding the spikes. You can see again that I have the variation, with the sadder side having mixed spikes, downwards pointing spikes, and the other one having upward spikes. And you can see in the middle they are flip-flopping. You can also see that later, you can see that the spikes on the sadder one become more rounded along with this one. Forgot how hard commentary is during my break. I then started adding floofs to them, and then I went into tracing. While tracing, I was very careful about getting the lines right, because of all the overlapping lines, it got very, very complicated on how this was going to happen. I think the longest part about recording these guys was the coloring aspect, especially since there was a bunch of mixing going on, but these are very, very fun. I love these guys. Again, like last time, I added the references at the end of their videos, just letting you guys give you a heads up. They are there for about 0.3 seconds. You can see here that I made their torso a bit more lean, especially since they're circus animals. I was playing around with the tail shape as well, so that looked well. I made sure the spikes looked okay, and all that. You can see here as I play with this, I'm adding a bit more detail, which you will see more of when I get into the coloring aspect. See here, I was trying to remake the tail yet again, making sure that everything looked alright. So you can see here that the lines are still a bit scratchier than they usually are, like they always are. With these scratchy lines, I was really playing around with their shapes, since you can see here that the tail went through multiple iterations. Like I was saying, I then went back in and played with the neck some more, making sure that all looked fine. Then, thinking that the spikes on the back didn't quite look right, I tried to put on a cape over it, Later I went in and decided that this didn't didn't really look right. So then I finished the outlining. Then I went in with the coloring. I pulled up my photo that I needed and I went in coloring. I wanted the happier side to be this warm red color and have a warmer color scheme than the sad side. The sad side will have a cooler color scheme to show their differences. So then I went in and put all the colors that I was going to use for them on each side, and then I went in to mix them to make the body. I started with making our core colors, base colors put on correctly, so that then I grabbed all the colors I needed to mix and mixed them together. Looking back, I didn't really like the mix of the blue and the orange. It just didn't make a nice color. Then I went in and tried to do the face paint, realizing that since that coloring had been done on marker, it looked a lot better on paper than it did digitally. So it looked a bit funky. Then I went in with the body color, which I really like. It looks quite nice in my opinion. I then started playing around with how I could get the clown makeup to look better, so then I erased it all by just coloring over it again. I then started going in with the orange, in blues, which I decided that would be there. I was thinking about putting these little frills on the neck and putting these frills on the tail, which I did end up keeping on the tail. Not really sure if I ended up keeping them on the neck or if I changed it. Yeah, I changed it to just the spine. Again, you can see that the happier one has upward facing little bubbles. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. And the other one has more downward facing ones. I eventually went back in and changed the little spikes that were on the back to be little like floofs, and I put it on the stomach as well to make sure that it had that repetitiveness. I can't think of the word. Repetitivity, I think that's the word I'm looking for, but I'm not entirely sure. Then I went in and tried to make a nicer color of this blue color, but I couldn't, so I just kind of did this. Then I went in and mixed all three colors together to make the spikes colors, so I did that. See that this was a nice orange color that I did end up really liking, and the other one was a nice blue color that I also really liked. Then I mixed the two together to make this brown shade, which, though it doesn't very fit in, I feel like it makes it stand out even more, which I very much like. Then I went in with the two colors of orange and blue and made the eye colors. And I made these little rhombuluses, open rhombuluses, I think that's the name, and put it on there. Then I outlined their clown makeup and started applying it onto their... You can see that, like if you've ever seen IDK Art's drawing of my original profile picture, that is how she has the clown makeup on Aizere's face, so I decided to do that. So these are the twines. Next up, we have the Endbringers. They're more of a bird-like creature, and I didn't know how to combine the three creatures that I was given to make them. Originally, I was going to do the little floofs that we see on the one creature's head. I can't remember their name. It's been a while since I've done this. I made these ginormous wings because I thought they'd look nice. And then I started playing around with the front half. And I wanted it to be a bit floatier, since it was going to be a ghost, kind of like the ones from episode 1 of this. I gave it an ostrich tail, like I did with the original owls. Jeez. But this one's an ostrich. You can see I gave it a plague doctor mask, which this is probably the scariest creature I've made by far, which is not saying a lot, but it says something, considering that I haven't drawn a lot of scarier creatures. This is probably the scariest I've ever drawn. This one had a lot of effort put into it. You can especially see that in how I make sure that everything's unique-ish about it. You'll see that a lot more when I get into the coloring. Due to the effort I put into the coloring, it was quite a lot. So then I started making the mask. I do remember I had some lore written down about these guys. And I do remember it, in fact, even though it's been a while since I originally made this video. The lore was that they are commonly seen circling above battlefields, and it signifies that death is coming to that person that sees them, and they're often seen as a bad omen, which they still are. Again, you can see that I'm really playing with the skull and making it look like a plague doctor mask. And then I went in with this really nice color that I like. I do really like this shade of red. I love it so much. It's beautiful in my opinion. Again, I saw a lot of fan art for the last video, and all of it was beautiful. Every single piece I saw was beautiful. It was all amazing, and I loved the support. I think out of all the creatures I've made, the Endbringers are my favorite so far, because of how unique they are and what they signify. They signify a darker turn into the creatures that I've made. They signify that I do have something more serious, and I feel like it's very nice. I feel like they're kind of like vultures in that sense, though. I do really like how I did the wings and stuff, and how big and just amazing I feel like they are. Especially how the ghostier parts are more like wavy. And then I started going in and finding another color, because I wanted to do an ombre on the wings, since I've been so obsessed with ombres recently. You can see that on the other wing, the pattern isn't as defined as it is on this wing, on the main wing, because it's kind of lost due to being dead. The pattern's not as subjective. I then tried, what if I did this, like, gray spots, but I decided against it. And so I started, and I went in with that color instead to make, like, little socks on them. So as I did that, I was making sure that everything was evened out, and I did all of that. Then I added these little floofs on the chest to really even everything out. I went in and added these dark red dots to kind of look like dark red eyes onto the creature that I made. Really making sure the dots were rounded out nicely. I then put it in between where the little ghostly parts are as a signifier for blood. So I probably should put gore warning on this video, though it's not very well drawn. Basically, it's supposed to show where the creature was injured. Then I put small dots on all these little round pieces to make it look like eyes were all over it. So it's like watching you. Then I went in and started blurring everything. Blurring it all together so that those parts evened out nicely. As I did this, I was cautious of how I was doing it, where I was doing it, and all that jazz. Sorry that it's been a while since I posted last. Again, like I said, very busy lately, but I'm so glad that I was able to sit down and make this video, specifically, because, oh man, I love these creatures. And once I finish blending, you get to see those are the Endbringers. Next are another ones associated with death, except these are the End Guiders. They come after the Endbringers. These guys will lead to the afterlife. They're more fiery, and I was trying to draw a mane here, but it ended up not looking right, so I scrapped it. I feel like, looking back, none of the things about the creatures that I used to mix to make these creatures really stayed. You can see here at the start, I'm trying to make it scary like I did with the first one, but it ended up not being very scary. It ended up looking more innocent than the Endbringers, because I don't think I could draw another Endbringer as well as that first one. So I was playing around with the shapes and everything, making sure I liked how everything looked. I added a little fire tail, because I thought that'd be nice since they're guiders. I was thinking of adding like a halo or something, but I decided that was too much for the design. I guess. See here that they're a bit more scruffy, and they look a lot kinder. I was trying to figure out what I could do on the top. I thought maybe a diamond, like, halo or something, but I decided against it again. Then I went in and started outlining. You see that I decided the ears would be more pinned back than they originally were. So I made 2 ears, then I just decided to start doing those. Again, you can see here that I scrapped the mane that was originally there. So you can see that I started going in and making the wings with all their with how torn up they are. I then started making the flame on the end of it and doing all that. I went in and I decided that the feet little socks would be more flame-like, since I thought that would look nice. So yeah. That would look nice. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask right now. Like I was saying, then I went in with this nice charcoaly color that kind of reflects on the end guiders colors as well, except a bit darker. You can see that they also have a key, which I'm assuming is going to be like a key to an afterlife, like the gateways to another world. And so I went in, and I was thinking about changing the color up a bit, so I made it a little bit lighter, because I thought that the color was too dark, that I thought it was too light, but then it was too dark, but then it was too light. But eventually I settled on this color, and once I finished coloring it, it did turn out very nicely. So then I started going in with the rest of it, since I decided, what am I doing here? I'm not sure. So then I went in with this red color to do some flame details, and first I started with the ribbon around its neck, then I started on the flames on its tail, because I already knew I wanted that to be like a lantern for them, kind of like how the post lights have that. Then I went in on the wings, because I knew that I would also have to do the wings for them, since this was going to be a very complicated part with how scruffed up the wings that I made. They are supposed to be like torn up for a reason. I think it's because they've already dealt with the hardship of death, so they defend those who have died. Then I went in and just kept doing that. I added another little layer of the flames over top the red, where the orange would be, so that I had the full fire. Then I went in with an orange. I made sure the color looked right, and I made sure that looked good. I had to really make sure that the orange really went up high, since I needed the yellow to be at a good level as well. And since most of the fire that you see is usually orange. I know it's not realistic, since that's not how fires normally look, but it's fantasy, who cares? I realize now that I left that area so that you could see the yellow, so I knew where the yellow would go. So you can really see that, that's a lot of orange. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I see what I'm doing now. I put the yellow at the top of the wings for some reason. So I left that little area at the bottom so that I still knew where the red was. So then I went in and I did the yellow at the top of the wings. Just really nicely coloring that in. Then I was trying to figure out what color to make the spike. So I decided on this so I was playing with shades of gray, so I got that nice color. So you can see that with the other colors, the gray that I used, due to, I assume, color theory, has really darkened up a bunch, which is very, very nice. See, you can still see it's still the same gray. Then I went and stole the color, the twine, for the twines, and started messing around with the shade, and that's the Endbringers. And finally, I have these guys, who I haven't decided a name for yet, but these guys were drawn pretty quickly, so they're not the best. Far from it. But I still really like how they turned out. At first, I was quite uncertain about them, but looking back, I do really like how they turned out. This one was probably the most recently drawn. I drew it right before recording the audio for this video. So, while doing this, I was on call with some friends. So at points you could see me pause when I'm sketching to look at whatever they're doing. So as I was doing this, I was trying to figure out the shapes and stuff. Because how was I going to combine these three animals that I was given? in a unique way because I had no idea what I was doing. I was just going as I do. So then I started drawing the body. Again, I didn't write a script for this video. That's like pauses. So many pauses. So then I went in and I did a jellyfish tail since I had to combine a jellyfish with them. And you can see that right now the lines are extremely messy. I do go in later and I fix that. I was working on making the bones, and one of my friends is like, just use a reference. Use Sans the Skeleton for a reference. And I'm like, no. And they're like, why? And I'm like, just no, I don't want to. Because I can't really use human bones as I don't know how well human bones would be a reference for making a fantasy animal. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below on using Sans the Skeleton as a reference for drawing the bones. Not scans, Sans. I think drawing the bones was definitely the hardest part, since I had to figure out how to make that shape right, especially for the back legs. I realized that a lot of this episode has a lot of ghost and death stuff. The most lighthearted ones is probably the Twines, which I love the Twines, and I can't really blame them. I think, yeah, the Twines and this guy are the only ones without, wings for this episode. That's fun. You can see here that, the eye got a bit of a different shape, which I do end up really liking the shape. I don't know how I ended up doing that, but maybe it was just because I wasn't laying down like I usually am when I'm drawing. So then I started going in, and I started adding more details. Like, this was supposed to look like a neck bone. It looked like it was supposed to look like a bone pattern on their neck. I was struggling over what I was trying to say. Sorry. I then went in and just kept outlining. Commentary is so hard. So I did that all, and as I did that, I was just kind of chatting with my friends. So, I have been really loving what I've been doing lately. I have lately gotten farther in writing the book. I'm on chapter about 19 in writing, I think, and it's gotten pretty far. I've introduced a bunch of characters already. So that's all fine and dandy. I then went in as I was about to color when I realized I wanted to do something. I went in and I made these like spikes all over. They're supposed to look like ribs. Well, not look like ribs, but they're supposed to be ribs. So yeah. I was then playing with the face a bit, and I decided that I was gonna give it like the skull mask thing. And I did all that. Then I went with coloring. And I asked my friends what color I should make it, and they said pink, like a jellyfish. But I decided on blue instead, because that would look better with the darker colors I was going to use. So that was all good. I went in and colored it all up, and made sure that everything was filled in the way I needed it to be. I really like this darker blue color. I just kind of played around with the shades until I found it. I feel like, I know this video is the shortest out of all the Creatures of Aizere's video. That's because these designs are a lot more simple, I think, and I also sped them up a lot more because it took a lot longer to draw them. Except for this one. This one only took about 12 minutes. But the Endbringers took a while to make. So I was just making sure that everything was good. I was trying to get this one colored quite quickly because I had other things I needed to do when I was making this one. So I just wanted to make sure that I could get it done. So then I decided, like, in all of those guys, except, well, no, I don't think, well, like, good old Musetta fashion, I decided I was going to add an ombre, because I love an ombre. I was then considering how I was going to do the bones, because I didn't want it to look like just a classic skull and stuff, since I don't know. So I went in, before I did that, I went in with this purple for the little axolotl fingers and the jellyfish tail. Yeah, so I was gonna add an ombre on the tail, and I was gonna add no, that was the only ombre. So yeah, I went in and I did the ombre on the tail. So I just quickly filled in the tail with the colors I needed it to be, which was just this dark purple, of which I do really, really adore. It's quite a beautiful color that, when combined with that nice blue, looks very, very nice. Like I said, animations are coming about a bit slower lately because of a struggle with Flip-a-Clip. So I'm gonna be switching to edits for a bit until I can get that sorted out. But don't worry, you're still getting content. I don't know what to name these guys, so I'm gonna leave that up to you. Leave suggestions down below. So then I went in with this nice charcoaly color for some of these bones on the body to make them stand out a bit more, since they're not actual bones, you know? So I did that, and I had to clean that up a bit. But then I went in and I did these spikes on the back. I did end up also using this color for the ribs, which I was debating, since I didn't want it to make it look like they were blending into each other. But I think it did end up looking quite nice, in my own opinion. So yeah, I did that, and then I had to play around with the colors of the actual bones. So I went and I saturated up the purple so I could find a good color. So you can see I'm really playing with that. Well, not really. So then I just went in with this color since it was nice. It was slightly off-white, and it fit how I wanted it to look quite nicely. So I went in and I started coloring in all of these guys. And that about wraps up all my thoughts on this one. Again, sorry it took a lot longer to come out, but thank you so much for your patience and all. I'm hoping to get my posting schedule a bit better now that I don't have one in general, but I'm hoping to start doing it more consistently, is what I mean. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time I post a video, I guess. Bye!